Hello there. Welcome back to Chuck's Garage. Today we are back on the Yamaha water pump. I got some parts, and this little video is just a reassembly video. And I hope that you all enjoy it. If you got any comments or anything like that, please leave them in the message below. And like and subscribe if this is what you feel that you enjoy. I appreciate you watching, and here we go. All right, I am back on my water pump for my 1983 Yamaha Venture. So here's the dealie. Inside this housing on this side, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, I already put the seal in. I got a little overzealous, actually anxious, because I'm just that kind of guy. So if you guys can see that drain hole in there. So the whole deal with the drain hole is that protects and tells you that there's a leak, and that's where this whole thing started, is this leak right here. And it was some old crusty stuff, and there's probably still a little bit left of it. But anyhow, the seal that was in there was not too bad, but it's been in there for 40 years. It's time. So the idea with the deal is that seal has to be just below that little drain hole. Now, I looked up in the manual. I have a manual. If you guys ever work on this stuff, get a manual, because it'll save your soul. But they have all these special tools, and I am very lucky to have a small mill and a small lathe. And so I made these different tools. This one here is the one that put the that seal in. It lined up with the housing, and then this pushed it to the right depth, which was nice. It didn't take a whole lot of beating to get in there. You can see I barely made a mark on the top of it. But it did put it to the right depth, and it put it nice and square, because if it's not square, it's going to allow oil to come into the cooling, and I don't think that's ever a good thing. And this one is a special setup for, they call it a mechanical seal, mechanical water seal. Now, that's what this is right here. Wish I could figure this thing out. But anyhow, this thing here goes on like this, just like that. And there's a little lip on that seal. I don't know if you could see it. So the tool is designed, see, the thing there is designed to go around the outside of this part of the seal and then just catch that. Well, to find a tool for a 40-year-old motorcycle, I spent more effort into just doing it myself, because I'm fortunate enough to have a lathe and a mill. It's not a big fancy one. It's a little Harbor Freight dealie, but it got done what needed to be done. So, and then there's one other one. This is a simple. It's more or less a seal driver. But there's a second part to this, and that second part has to be set exactly flush on this. So the idea is this thing here is just going to go in there, and we'll get that seal put on there flush, because if that's not flush, it can't be. They give you an allowance of 4 or 5 thousandths, I think. It seems a lot to me, but I'm going to try to get it so it's flat. So, because this seal other part is spring loaded. And what happens is, when you put this whole pump together, This piece here goes up against that other piece of hard seal, and then you push this in, and then there's a little C-clip groove right here that you have to put on. It goes through this seal, goes through the rubber oil seal, and then it goes through the bearing, and then once it gets through the bearing, you put this C-clip on, and then you can go to your other side and you put your drive gear on and stuff like that. But anyhow, now I'm done blabbing about all that. Why don't I get started? We'll see how it goes. Hope I'm doing it all in the right order. That's all I can say. I did make up some fancy little CAD drawings here. We'll call it Chuck assisted drawings. I just did some measuring on the housing and whipped them up. Yeah, so that's that. Let's see. The first thing I want to do, I got to make sure it's the right thing to do, is they tell you to just use either antifreeze or water on this, no oil. And I can understand why, because it'll push out. I guess the blue stuff there probably heats up. It's more like a Loctite, I think, because it took a little bit to get that other one out. So I'm just going to put a little water on there, and we will move on. How much could it possibly take, right? How much water could it possibly use? So, get it wet all the way around. I want to get it wet on the inside. So I'm putting this part of the housing on top of this, because otherwise if you put it down like that, you're kind of hitting on the middle, and that's not what I want. So let's get this show on the road and see what happens. Hopefully I'm doing it correctly. Otherwise we'll be waiting for parts. There we go. You can tell with the sound difference. So if you can see, this thing here is spring loaded. See that? So there you have that. So now I have to put the seal in this. As soon as I find it, I just had it. There it is. So I originally thought these probably should have been softer seals, but as I got them, they're hard. They're hard. It's like a hard plastic of sorts, probably heat resistant. But anyhow, that's this one. So I'm going to do the same thing with the water, because this is rubber. I don't want to get too much water in there though. Then hydraulic on me. Oh shit, it went right in with my fingers. That's good. Well, never mind. Wouldn't have had to waste that aluminum. Not a waste, it's a good piece of aluminum. Great big washer now. So anyhow, now they tell you to put a little lube on this. So I'm going to grab my little lube and we're going to go from there. So I happen to be using a little 3-in-1 silicone lube. 100 to 500 degrees it says. Probably be good to, until we get oil pressure cranking back up in this whole situation. So there is the spring. Okay. Now my thought is I probably should have put that bearing in first, which isn't the end of the world. I can put it in. Actually, I can put it in now, and the shaft will keep it straight. What do you think about that? Hot shot. Let's see what happens. It's not working good. It's not working good. What are we caught on? Why did it do that? Let's see here. Can't do that. God, I don't like that. Looks like I caught a little aluminum in there. Something or other. Must have been scraping on the housing. I don't think it's all the way in though. I do not think it's all the way in. Bearing spins good. Certainly doesn't like going on though. Like there's a rough spot in there or something. Definitely don't want to beat it on there. Take a little water. Let's do this. There we go. Alright. Okay, let me get the clip back on. I don't know who comes at night and takes my tools. Someone does. Someone comes at night to take my tools. Oh, brother. I'll be dipped. Could have, I guess. So I can't use the angled ones. Alright, I found what I was looking for. Right now, right in front of me, my face. I wonder if I got a new one of those. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. I could squeeze it together a little bit. Well, let's see what happens. Seems like it went in there pretty good. Going to create a ton of havoc if it doesn't. So, here's this. This is the gear. Plastic gear runs up against a steel gear. That's what turns the impeller. Nothing fancy, but when I took it off, this was on the outside. So to keep the gear pattern the same, which you can't even tell if it's been running, you know, I'm going to put that back in. So this little pin has to go that little hole. Sticks out kind of even. I don't know if you can even see it or not. There you go. A little bit. So that goes down. Makes that happen there. And there's another C-clip that goes right there. And then once that's done, we can't put it back on the truck or the bike yet. Why? Because I'm still waiting for one part. I'm still waiting for the O-rings for this. And this is part of the, this goes into this housing. It goes into the house. Oh man, I can't ever figure this camera out. This goes into the housing like so. But I can't put this on until we get that in, because this goes on into the block or onto the block, and then this end goes into the front of the block. So can't really do nothing right now, but it will be soon. Soon. So I really thought that was going to take a lot longer. was quite easy. Took me longer to make all the stuff I needed to get everything tapped in place correctly, for crying out loud. Okay, so there we go. Got the bearing in, got that clip in, putting this last clip on. And what I think I might do while I'm waiting is get this gasket stuck on there. I have a couple different gaskets. One that came in the original kit. It doesn't seem very, it doesn't have to be really. Feels nice and tight. Feels nice and tight. I mean, not tight, unrealistic tight, but it's going to create a nice seal, I believe. So, got some clearance. Got the clearance in there, so our pump doesn't ride against the housing. So, there you have it. One water pump rebuild. One water pump rebuild. So, I don't know if you need to watch me put the pump back on, but I will video that anyway. But this one is really just for the pump rebuild. If you like what you saw, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do a lot of weird stuff, I guess. Thank you.